This is Nancy Pope. And Nancy, if you would tell us a little about yourself.
Well, my name is Nancy Pope, and I've been here since 1989. I work for Compass Health as a family therapist, and at this time I provide supervision for people who want to become therapists. And I am a voracious reader, and I love books.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome.
We need a motion to accept the agenda.
We ready to pledge?
Oh, yes, let's, wait, thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. One nation.
I will make a motion, we accept the agenda.
I'll second it.
I'm going to run through just a quick presentation here of what we're looking at on the agenda. And we have a couple of newer trustees here that I haven't gone through some things with, and I would like to point, actually share this with everybody for points of how I put some things together from Harvard Business that kind of gives us a good idea of how to run a meeting. And what you should look for as a board member. So I'll start with the agenda. Okay, we've gotten through introduction, doing the opening presentation, accepted the agenda. Okay, public comments used to be right now. Everybody had 3 minutes. It was kind of disjointed, disconnected from if people hadn't seen the agenda, or whatever came up in discussion of the points on the agenda. The public comments time was just disjointed. So what we're going to do is it's been standard here that everybody has 3 minutes to speak. And so what we're going to do is disperse comments over the agenda item. So after each agenda item, if somebody wants to speak on a specific item, that's fine. If you want to, so we're going to get down through new business and unfinished business. And as we get into items that we generally take comments on, I'll stop and allow for comment. Everybody has 3 minutes.
Total, right?
3
minutes?
3 minutes total. So Rebecca will we'll track time, and you can use a minute, bank your time for another item, or if you've got a specific item, you can use all your time at once. We're going to try to do that to keep the meeting manageable and be productive. Then we're going to give the floor to the director. He's going to present the annual report, and there's been some work with the Osage Beach Library lighting. We'll need to accept the minutes from the last meeting, and that can be found on the CCLD.us website for trustees. So that's available to read those minutes, and so it's out there for the public. We have treasurer's reports, those payable, branch reports. Our unfinished business consists of 6 policy items. Let's see, then we'll be going into at 1081 Osage Beach Road, we have a building that we bought, and trying to get to the best use of it. I'm trying to figure out what the best use of that building is. And then any public comments, for non-agenda items, if there's anything else you'd like to say, if you have time left. You can do that at the end of the meeting, and then we'll adjourn. We have, two newer, trustees, and, I would like to remind everybody that we took an oath to uphold the actual US and Missouri Constitution. That's my thing. These are, some side. So these are some questions I put together that hopefully, you know, we've had some remarks that the board is disjointed, not working as a team, not on the same page, things like that. We are all individuals and, working together for a common cause, and that is for outstanding library, district. So these are some questions. I got this from, Harvard Business Review. And I put them together, hoping to encourage, people to exercise that individuality. So if you design the agenda, what would be on it? What can be learned from the director? How is Camden County Library District patronage reflected in our board conversations? What don't you know about the Camden County Library District and website? What do you see always being discussed but never resolved? What are you, as an individual trustee, not discussing that you need to talk about? And we need to be mindful of that. We need to, and that comes into play with keeping the agenda management. And, you know, if you have a thought, if you have something, regarding the library that you'd like to discuss, make sure it doesn't get lost. We have to bring it to the agenda in a management, so that we're not having 5-hour meetings. Are we addressing all the stakeholders, not just the shareholders? If so, how and, what's the order of priority? That's a tough question for me, stakeholders and shareholders. I tend to look, I know that's business oriented, and I tend to look at that as the patrons, as the shareholders. The stakeholders are the people who work here and, build a profession here. And they do that by providing the public the best service that they can. Let's see. Are we adequately discussing long-term issues, both internal and external? So those are some things to keep in mind, and anybody would like that sent to them, I can do that. Then I had talked briefly on the agenda item. We have the 1081 Osage Beach Road building. That's just a map where it's at. We're here by the Casey's, and it's apparently about 15 minutes away over there, over by the Osage Beach Library. That's satellite view. Libraries here. 1081, the building that the library district bought. Oh, I got that back there. I'm sorry. Here, yeah. Right. And then right there is the this building that was. That's the building on the property. I guess the biggest concern was parking for the Osage Library. I won't get into that too deep. I'm just going to show you that's the building. That's the floor plan of the building, and we can go back to these pictures if anybody needs it. There's a radio antenna. It used to be a radio station. So that's the antenna for it, 250 feet. That's what I got. So,
Can you bring that up when we get to that?
yes, I'll keep that here.
Yep. Sydney,
You want to speak now, Sid?
or do you want to wait?
Yes.
Well, do you have, well, is it, what you have to say, is it related to a specific agenda item?
I have something to say about agenda item C,
Okay,
as well as the other stuff is not related to an agenda item.
okay, do you need to leave soon, or can you wait till we get to see?
I can wait till you get to C, but I do have to work at 10:15.
Okay. Okay, go ahead. I don't want to make you late. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Grayson, would you see?
Uh,
Those are non-agenda.
Agenda item. Speak,
Okay.
speak on C right now.
if you've got to leave it at 10, let's go ahead and, go ahead. Please repose. Yes, please repose.
So hello, good morning. Welcome Nancy to the board. Thank you all again. I know you're all volunteers, so thank you very much for carving out your Friday mornings here.
I'm sorry, what's
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Sydney
Sydney?
from the Camdenton Library.
Okay.
And I always get up here and complain, criticize and stuff, but I do appreciate
No,
everything you guys do.
that's why this is a public meeting.
I've spent the last 3 weeks reviewing the challenge books because I know they got moved to the adult section and the forms went out on the website and such. I'm very saddened that books about little boys wearing dresses and girls getting involved in the government are considered offensive and inappropriate and are now unavailable to individuals under 18 at our library. Some of the books feature transgender characters. Challengers say these books will confuse kids. As a kid in the 2000s, I want to tell you that these books will not confuse kids. I was confused when a member of my family started dating a trans person when I was 15 years old. I was confused when I was 13 at a water park and someone I thought was a man was wearing a bikini and nail polish. I was confused and I laughed at that person. I was confused because I had no idea what being trans was. I was confused and I was a bully. When a member of my family started dating a trans person, I decided I didn't want to be confused anymore. I asked a lot of questions, I read, and I learned. I developed empathy and was no longer a bully because I was able to read and learn about an experience I have not had. That's what reading is about. I was 13 and 15 when I experienced that confusion. I'm sad to say that if the current policies were in place, I wouldn't have been able to read and learn and develop that empathy. However, if I had been reading these books that are now restricted to adults throughout my childhood, I would have grown up knowledgeable. I would have grown up empathetic. I never would have been a bully. The kids of Camden County will go to the pool or Big Surf and have the same experience I did. Camden County has tons of trans tourists every summer. Camden County has trans citizens. The question we need to ask ourselves, do we want to give kids the chance to develop empathy, or are we okay with the risk that we're raising confused bullies? I don't know about you, but encouraging learning, empathy, and reading does not scare me. Reading these books the past 3 weeks, I can see that the law, I feel, was not upheld. The law and the policy was used to get certain books out of the kids sections that I feel don't contain the pornography for minors that the law specifies. Our children's First and 14th Amendment rights are being violated, and that is what scares me. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that, so that was C. Do you have J as well?
That was J. I'm not gonna speak on C because you let me go ahead.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
You do have 32 seconds left. If you want to-
Okay, let's see. So I've explained about how we're going to try to spread this over agenda items or public speaking. Director has the floor now.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sydney, for the comments. Just going to bring you a little update here. We did yesterday hold our second chapter and chatter cafe. Again, this is an effort. It's an outreach effort by the library. We're doing a show that's posted on YouTube Live, and the public can access that through the links on our website. Our show yesterday was, the first one we did was on immigration. The one yesterday was on Russia and Ukraine. Basically what we're doing is we're taking current events and I'm giving the history of how we got to where we are today, and then we're utilizing each of the branches of the library. We're having them pull all the resources that they have and setting up a display for the day that we're doing that particular show, so that you as public can come in and do your own research on these topics. And we're doing the best we can to try and pull all this information for you, because that's what it really boils down to. A lot of these things are controversial, and rather than taking a political stand on them, we're just providing the facts and then providing you with the resources you need as members of the community to be able to do your own research. And I have to say they've both gone very well. Like I say, yesterday was on Russia and Ukraine. We do offer free coffee in the mornings. People show up and actually sit here and participate with us and visit. And so far, it seems to be working very well. Our next show will be on April the 25th. And we're going to do something that is not really much of a topic now. We're going to talk about Israel and Hamas. Okay, so that ought to be an interesting show as well.
That will be interesting.
Yes, it will. Also, one of the things that we've done, our staff here does a great job putting out a newsletter, if you will, or a magazine that talks about the library and all the great programs that we have. And this is, like I say, it's just terrific. You can pick it up at any of our libraries. And what we've done is we've changed the format a little bit in that it's now broken out by each individual branch of the library. And you'll see there's a section for the Camdenton Library and for the Climax Spring Library and for the Stoutland. And it also has comments from the branch manager themselves, and then all of the interesting programs that they have coming up. So, I'm really proud of the staff for the way they put this together, and it's available both online at CCLD.us, and then it also is at all of our libraries. So if you're interested in what your local library is doing, this is a really great little tool to pick up and just kind of keep it handy there. Set it next to the refrigerator. You'll be able to find all kinds of great programs there. I have in part of the outreach efforts, and us being Switzerland, I spoke at both the Republican Club meeting last month, and I also that same week spoke with the Democrats. And yes, I'm still here. All right. So yeah, it went very well. I want to thank both of those groups for having me. It was really a lot of fun to attend both of them and hear input from the public and share with them what we're doing. So thank you to those two clubs, and I'll be happy to come again and speak with you. I got to meet a lot of great people. So it was a good experience for me as well. Next week, I'm scheduled to go to the Rotary Club on April the 24th, and I'm going to do a presentation on what we're doing here at the library as well. So you're going to see more and more. I'm going to do what I can to try and get out into the community, because like I say, the big issue is all these great things that we have at the library, but people just aren't aware of them. And like I say, there've been national research done that shows the biggest problem that libraries have in this day and age is just simply getting the word out and letting people know all the great things that are happening. And like I say, the technology has changed libraries a lot from the days when I was attending libraries, right? We held our second branch managers meeting on March the 20th. And again, this is part of our effort to try and get everybody on the same page, working with the branch managers, getting their input, and trying to do what we can to help them do their jobs even better. And so far, that's been going really well. And again, I'm proud of the staff for all working together and starting to communicate better on all the big initiatives that we have coming and that we've done in the past. I also did a Lake TV show on Missouri history. And again, I kind of did the same thing we've done with the Chapter and Chatter Cafe. I had the libraries, each of our libraries pull resources from the stacks about, Missouri history. And so make it real easy for you all. If you see one of these shows, go to your local library and we'll have the resources already pulled for you, sitting there ready to go. Okay. So you don't have to search all over everything. We've got most of it right there for you. Okay. The plan is that I will be doing 2 more shows in the upcoming months with Lake TV. And those will be addressing famous Missourians. And again, we'll be pulling from our resources to support what I'm saying on the shows, and we'll be talking about famous Missourians like Walt Disney and Yogi Berra and Joseph Pulitzer. So again, we've got a lot of really interesting topics, and we've got the resources to help you if you want to do your own research on them. So, I'm kind of excited about that as well. Again, the staff never ceases to amaze me. The library staff at Osage Beach and Camdenton, they held a fundraiser in cooperation with our local Ross dress store, Dress for Less. You guys are familiar with it. It's up in Osage Beach. The Ross store has a corporate program that supports different programs throughout the nation, and they call it the Ross Store Foundation. And it provides a matching donation to the library equal to the amount raised at the store. Now, nationwide, they're raising money for the Boys and Girls Club of America. And then they take a matching of whatever's raised for that, they match that and provide it to the local library. So our library and the efforts of our staffs at the two branches, they came and set up a booth and visited with the public. Our local store was able to raise, or our local library was able to get $4,096.22 given to the library for programs. So again, I commend the staff. This was having to man a booth on a weekend and all, and they did. And again, it's paying off. So, thank you to the staff at Camdenton and Osage Beach for their efforts in doing this. Like I say, they never cease to amaze me, the things that they're doing. In the information that we've handed to the board is our annual report, and it's also available online. It'll be on our website. Now, basically, what it is a snapshot of all the things that we've, accumulation of the things that we do. It talks about the locations, and then it's got a really neat little page in here that talks about, the number of books that have been checked out, the number of patrons that have attended each of the branches, reference questions that the staff has answered for people. Computer usage, we have public access computers. It's got all the data in there. And, it even gets into, we provide notary services and passports, gives you all the information on how many of those things we actually do. And so this report, it's put together annually, and it is a requirement that we do this for the Missouri State Auditor and the State Library. And so you'll see that it's basically set up in a format and provided in accordance with the Missouri State statutes. So that information has been provided to the board as well, and it is available on our website. Okay, good. Let's see, the lighting project. In the previous meeting, I talked about Ameren having a program to allow us to switch out the fluorescent light bulbs to the, help me again, Stab, LED. Yes, I'm. Yeah.
You are old.
It's magic. Yes. I'm thinking the lamp lighters going around, oil lamps and whale oil, but no, it's way over my head. But again, like I say, this was a great deal. We just I stumbled across it, and we requested, to be included in this program with Ameren, and they gave us about $8,000 worth of lights, and we are working on installing those. We're about 40% complete. Believe it or not, there's over 200 of those lights right here in the building we're sitting in. So it's a big project. But we have it all set up to have this completed by June the 1st is the completion date. And we are still working with Ameren and keeping them up to date on where we are with that. So, yay, that's another feather in our cap, if you will. And like I say, June 1st is what we're shooting to have them all done. We've got to literally, erect scaffolding in here and get up there and switch all this out and bypass whatever ballasts and all that. Like, again, it's over. I'm not an electrician. You can call my wife. She'll verify that. All right. And then I thought, something that popped up here that I thought I need to include this for the board so you understand. When it comes to the budgetary part of this, I know they hired me to, work with the libraries, and I'm thinking books and all that, but it's become a lot more than what even I suspected. Every day there's something new. There's 6 buildings. There's all kinds of issues. Those of you that are winterizing your homes down here, or those of you that are full-time residents here and survive through the winter. Now you're going out to your homes and finding all the things that the gremlins managed to get a hold of and broke, right? And you sit there and think that was fine in the fall, and now look at it.
Yep.
Well, we've got the same thing with 6 library buildings. And so I thought I'd share a little bit with you. We have a blower motor went out here in the Camdenton Library, and at 4:30 in the morning, my assistant director got a call that the fire department had arrived, and the blower motor went out, blew smoke through the ductwork. And when the fire department and everybody and their brother was here, and come to find out that indeed the motor had laid down and died, and it burnt some wires, the smoke got in the system, and there we were. Well, as we dove into it, found out what it would cost to replace it, we went ahead and had that done. And unfortunately, the system's roughly 20 years old, maybe 25. And that blower motor is one of 25 different systems in this building alone. So, and now we just had one day before yesterday laid down and died up here right by the front desk. So, again, it's homeownership 101 kind of thing. And so, we're looking at this and looking what all it's going to take as far as keeping up with these blower motors. So we're going to be working on that. But again, these are the kind of expenses that pop up day to day that are unforeseen. But when you're trying to maintain all these different buildings, these things are going to happen. There's a great big heat source pump. It's one of those ground source heat pumps here for this building. I thought, okay, how bad can that be? And went back there, and the pump is about the size of you. It's huge. I mean, there's 2 of them back there. I mean, it's a big pump, right? And needless to say, that thing laid down and died. And so now we're doing what we can to repair it. We're going to try and disassemble it and put it back together ourselves with a little help from some of the local technicians. And so again, that's going to be another expense, and I'm sharing this with you just to let you know that, I don't come in here and just read a book every day. Every day I come in and I'm like, now what, right? And just when you think you've got it all caught up, yesterday we found out that the septic system at Climax Springs branch laid down and died. And so now we're going to have to fix that as well. So again, I'm sharing this information with you, and I don't know if the board wants it or not, but it's basically, I'm sharing the pain, but it's one of those where you come in every morning and think, okay, how are things going today? And sure enough, so yeah. And then when I go home on the weekend and my wife says, you need to fix this, I'm thinking, so now I've got 7 houses to take care of. Okay. But aside from, those things, things are going really well. Like I say, I'm so proud of the staff. They've all stepped up to the plate and made me feel welcome here. They're great to take on a challenge, as you'll see in some of the items that we're addressing today. And so that's all I've got.
May I add a quick thing too?
Yes.
When you were talking about between the pages, which I think is fabulous, are these sent out to like the Chamber of Commerce's or maybe hotels, realtors? Because I know when people come in the summer, I always hear that, where is the local library? And I thought it might be nice if they have children here, if they could see what activities are going on also. So I didn't know how that could be sent out just to.
I think the branch managers should probably start taking those around to the areas
And that's
in their community.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
As part of our outreach program, I think that's a great idea. And see if we can't, get some of these set out in the local communities, maybe, get them out to some of the different clubs and stuff. And I think that's a great idea. We'll look into doing that.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Is there a link to the library on the Camden County website?
Link to what?
The library, I don't know.
Because when you go to the Camden County, you've got all the Chamber of Commerce, you've got all the, all the links of all the major things having to do with the county.
I don't think we do, but we can sure look into that. Right.
Yep.
Another great idea.
Casey. We are a member over there. I'm sure that we probably are.
Okay.
But I don't think you're on their link.
Okay.
Great.
Take care.
Thank you.
Good.
All right. Are there any other comments on that? All right, we're gonna move on to C, acceptance of minutes of the March 15 meeting. And as I've shown, those are available on the website to read. And we do post them unaccepted. We post them up there so that people can get an immediate read on what's been covered in the meeting. And then we accept the minutes. We have a certain amount of time to make any corrections. If something is missed, get it in there and accept the minutes officially. So I need somebody to make a motion to accept the minutes from the March meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
All right, we're on to the treasurer's report. Would you like to speak on that?
Well, you all have got copies of the income and expenses by month now. I will be submitting that to everyone. Our ending balances, you got those on the treasurer's report. Does anybody have any questions about the treasurer's report? I have one.
I sure like how that's broken out into the 3 months with.
Okay, the income and
The
expenses.
income and expenses, I like that.
That will be
yes.
part of the package that will be going out every month.
Thank
I
you.
think that's gonna help us when it comes to the budget.
Okay,
That's,
so if no one has any questions, just need a motion to approve how the money was spent on all 3 of your accounts for the month of March.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Thank you.
and,
And then the bills payable. Has everybody looked at the bills payable?
okay, bills payable? Yes. Any questions on bills payable?
I'm assuming bill payable is now going up because of all the stuff that's rolling over and dying.
Not yet, but it will.
It will be. And on that,
It's gonna be a bump in the chart.
right, and on that point as well, again, it's very similar to what you deal with your home expenses. We're anticipating that we're probably going to get hit with a pretty good increase on our insurance, like everybody else down here. And I'm sure all of the public out there, you're facing the same thing. I know several of the condo associations and homeowners are seeing a big increase, and most of that as a result of the hurricanes and everything. They're passing that cost on to people here in the flatlands. So if you want to call the Ozarks flat, right? But
We don't have tornadoes.
no, yeah, right, exactly. So, yeah, so just as a heads up, that's probably going to be another hit that we're going to take. And when's that coming up?
May.
In May.
It will actually be paid prior to the board meeting in May.
Yes, and we'll do everything we can to try and get the best deal on the insurance.
On the May bills. Septic system, right now, we don't have any plans or any quotes for the HVAC unit.
And there are capital funds set back for those.
Those are just operating.
Just
expense.
operating,
Unless we have to
okay.
replace something
Mhm.
that is new, then that would be an operating capital expenditure. Anything over $500.
Thank you.
Probably. But if they're maintenance, if we get brand new unit, yes.
Thank you.
Okay. I need a motion.
Want to make a
Okay,
motion?
motion to accept bills available.
I make the motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to branch reports. And, I just want to say, I really appreciate the branch reports that we get. It's really good to see the head counts, and the activities, and actually see, the data on what's checked out. So I really enjoyed it. That's all I have to say. Anybody have any comments about the branch reports?
I think it's wonderful.
I think it's great too. And every single place here overall, I mean, from January to February, there's been 570 more patrons visiting the library. And from February to March, 864. So the word's getting out. People are coming to the library. Good things are happening, and just increases on a great maximum of them from month to month, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
And we should start
Good-
seeing
good
a,
increases.
more of an increase as the snowbirds come back in town
Mhm.
and we start our summer reading program.
Yes,
We should see more
that'd be
increases.
great. But I enjoy the branch reports too. I think they're wonderful. See what else going on.
I would imagine that the cafe is gonna probably really put our names out there and create more traffic.
That's what we're hoping for, and again, I think the branch reports do a good job of helping us reflect, what's happening as far as the impact that we have. It's a way that we're going to be utilizing to track if what we're doing is having causing an improvement in the number of people in our contacts, and again, the nice thing about it, it's an outreach that from one location here, we can get it out and also have all of the other 5 branches that aren't here in Camdenton experience, a little increase as well. We're working on that, and in that program itself, we've actually, I do my part up front, and then we've set aside a section that we actually go down a list of all the things that the different branches are doing. And we've kind of been focusing on each month, trying to find something specific. Like the first month we talked about genealogy and the resources we had in that same one where I was talking about immigration. This last one we talked about the software program or
A to Z.
Yeah, the A to Z program that is a site that we have that will let you it's almost like a travel site. It lets you see businesses in a particular country or an area, or the food that they eat, or the clothes that they wear. It's really fascinating. If you're planning on traveling anywhere, that's tap that with the library. Again, it's easy to find. Just go to our website, ccld.us, and again, each month, what we're trying to do, or each show, we're trying to focus on different parts of the library and what's available in addition to the part that I'm doing. So, yeah, there's a method to our madness. Yes.
Is it possible to standardize those reports? I look at the Stoutland report and find it just immediately, it gives me the information I need.
Sure.
Yes, we can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, each one is on a kind of different
Platform.
format.
Yeah.
Yes, and it'd be nice if we could standardize them, and this is how we want it done. We
Yeah.
absolutely can
Yeah,
do that.
That's something that
would fall right into it.
we could do that. We'll address that in our next branch manager meeting. I think that's a great idea. Yeah.
And that's the one you want to format it, you like the stout ones?
That's up to you, but I just give an example.
All right.
Just,
Absolutely.
however it's standardized, so we pick each one, our eyes immediately go to the
Same
same
thing.
information.
I think that's a great idea.
There. Yeah, whatever you folks find suitable. Business.
I just want to comment on how Vicki put so much time in the spreadsheet, the financial spreadsheet, and broke everything down, and I really appreciated that.
All right, we're gonna move on to unfinished business. Is there a, I'm sorry, is there a
It would go
motion to
branch.
accept the branch
We
report?
don't
Or is
need
that
one
just-
yet.
We don't. So we're gonna move on to unfinished business. And, we're gonna go to, and it's, unfinished business basically is, policy revision, and then we're gonna be talking about the 1081 Osage Beach property. So let's move on to, item 1A, and it's open meetings, records, and sunshine policy. Let's open up to get comments going on that, if anybody has any input on that.
I do have one comment. Whoever did this in red, don't use such a,
It's hard to read.
yeah, don't do such a deep red, because I was sitting, at night trying to read this, even with lights on. It's like, it's,
Computer.
Yeah.
Computer.
You can't blame me, I'm totally colorblind. Yes, to me, it all looks the same color, so, it's all right, but yes, we'll see what we can do with it.
As presented.
Ink would be nice.
Looks good to me.
Yes, so do we have any comments on, open meeting records and sunshine policy? It does give us a good standard to go by. Oh, go ahead, yes, please.
Yes. You can have my copy if you'd like.
The one that Jim put out, we're all working off the one, try to get us all, I went through what we originally had, so Jim put out. And it's very, the differences are very, so we're gonna work with what Jim put out, yes.
I compared yours, Bill, and Jim's, and they're very close. I did a lot, you guys did a lot of work on it.
Appreciate all the work on that.
Yeah. Oh, I make a motion that we accept the Open Meetings, Records, and Sunshine Act policy.
Second?
Second, that.
Hey, Mary Pat, second?
I'm sorry, ma'am, did you have, wait, we gotta hold on.
Oh,
Did you
I'm
have
sorry.
comment or, something you wanted to propose on that? Okay,
We'll wait.
we'll wait, yes.
I do have a question on number 8. And I'm wondering if relating the public business to at least 2 other members of the body, so that when counting the singular, a majority of members are copies.
It should be there,
I
yeah.
copied an email between either custodian.
Yeah.
That's.
Yes, what, okay, so what's your question on that?
Don't understand it. It seems to me if a member of the board transmits an email business to even one member,
So,
that there be a record of that email.
well, so, yes, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Because if it's relating to public business, regardless of the number of people it goes to, it should be recorded and kept.
So we make, best effort to not, to make decisions or to sway each other in our email communication. That is the greatest endeavor in this. No consensus, nothing like that. So by law, we have any, more than 2 is a quorum. By law, we've got to get that on public record. But two people are working in committee and we appoint committees, usually of two people, so that they can compile information. And it's not, I just want to, I've made the statement several times before, and we need to stay away from consensus, from any kind of vote, from any kind of persuasion. And so the idea is to work through email to get information to everybody, disseminate information to everybody, and have it ready for the meeting. So it's preparation for the meetings. And this is probably as close as we can get. And if we start to see issues, then we're going to have to address this again. But we have to have something to move forward with.
Yeah, I think that's good, but I also think that even an email from her to just in between each other, if it relates to public business, should also be retained.
If that would get so cumbersome, that would get, Bill, go ahead. I'm sorry, let me finish real quick. That would get so cumbersome, it starts to just shut everything down. People can't work and move documentation, prepare for a meeting if you get that tight with it. There has to be some freedom to move and to work. And that's, we'll try to appoint committees to do that, so that it's within committee. Bill, go ahead.
I think you're both kind of right. What we were trying to do is accommodate the sunshine. Did the sunshine? Private conversation.
Right, this is
So
just to meet the
I
law.
kind of agree with you that any kind of conversation among board members, probably the people have a right to know. That's why we have public meetings.
Okay,
If I could
go ahead,
interject,
yes, please.
a good example of what they're trying to say here, Sandy, is like what I brought up today, the air conditioning units. If you went back and you took all of the emails that flew back and forth between myself and Adam and Vicky and Dave, I mean, there'd be a ton of stuff. And, you know, it's library business, but by the same token, it's also operating. And we had to have communication to make that happen. But then in the summary of it all, I'm presenting it here at the board meeting to inform the entire board that this was an issue. So I guess that, if that helps at all, but like, do you really want to see, you know, all of our emails dealing with fixing the septic tank at Climax Springs?
I would say nobody. What the you never know what's going to
Okay.
happen in the future.
Yes.
You never know who's going to be on the board in the future. You don't know what types of things they might try to attempt to do in the future with each other, as far as biases, preferences, that sort of thing.
Okay, I'm sorry. We're going to have to move forward. I get what you're saying. We got that. We are doing our best to adhere to the law and to the sunshine policy and to get a workable platform. And if we run into issues, we can amend this, but we need to move forward with how we've aligned ourselves with the law and created something we can work with. And I appreciate what you're saying, but we have to move on. Did you sign in by chance?
Because I didn't think I was
Sandra,
gonna
no.
say-
Would you please, yeah, could you please
I
sign
could
in?
add your name if that's okay, Sandra.
Yeah.
Sandra, no.
Very good, thank you. I'm sorry, we do want to keep the meeting moving, yeah. Yeah, appreciate it. Okay,
Motion
so
on the floor.
need a motion?
We have one, Rebecca moved to accept the policy as presented. Mary Pat second. Need a vote.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Officially.
One down.
Move on to
Who's looking for that?
Okay, we're moving on to item B, and it's preamble to the bylaws. Mess myself up here. Let's see. Preamble to the bylaws. I had those. Started by
Section 2.
trustees, okay.
Yes. You're in the,
Yeah.
administrative, subsection 3, duties of the
Nineteen.
board. Yep,
Okay. And then
19.
Good. It's screwed up, it got screwed up in my number here, I was hoping I could mess the whole thing. So we are, yes, preamble and bylaws. And I guess I have not. Yeah, that's it. All right, so, we saw some things in policy that need to be addressed. I think, I'm gonna press it with this. We have, in the past, the board has been reviewing policy. As a new board, we needed to get familiar with policy, and in that, you start to find overlaps in policy and rules, and it can disrupt the intent of our own policies and of our own goals and what we intend to do with the funds that we get from the public. And in our efforts to serve the public. So I think this is largely why we're addressing these policy issues is the to prevent overlaps in policies that can just tie things up and not let us work.
So you're saying that the rationale for eliminating that portion that's in red is to save money?
No,
Oh,
no, it's not. It's to
Remove confusion.
we create this library district will have its own policies. We have a policy manual. And we start to overlap ourselves with other organizations. We can certainly use other organizations' resources. We can adopt their values at will. But to put that in our policies actually can start to overlap other organizations' policies and our policy. And so if there's a deficiency we find in our policies, we need to make that our own policies, not bring in overlapping policies from other organizations. So that's.
well, I would have some questions about it because I think the Missouri Library Association has been around for a long time,
Yeah.
decades.
Yes.
Has a long history of being able to establish good, helpful guidelines for operating a library and that sort of thing. And I really like what is written in or outlined in red as to be deleted. That this district shall pay for membership dues for the trustee members and the director. That all sounds really healthy and to remove ourselves from that seems kind of preemptive.
We're not gonna remove ourselves from that.
No, yeah, we
And
just.
we're not removing ourselves from the MLA.
No,
That's the part that's yellow right here.
We're going
You just don't have it marked that way, but we're going to,
Remain
Wasn't that
an
last month
institutional member of the MLA.
right.
That we approved the membership to the MLA
Right.
last month.
We just had to repeat it,
So
but
this is what the new paragraph, like this right here, this is coming out.
All right. Well, I would like to be, have my dues paid.
okay, it's just, it states that it can, but it doesn't, the membership dues for trustees who choose to be a member of the Missouri Library Association. Not that everybody has to be a member, but absolutely, if you want to do that, we will, we gotta adopt this, but yes, we will.
Yeah.
Okay, so, are there any comments?
I'm not familiar with the revisions.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and read the part that will be removed, and I will read the, recommendation. The director, Jim, and, the staff have gotten together to review these policy changes, and so that's what you'll see in the yellow, is the, result of that.
At the bottom of the
So I'm
page.
gonna go ahead and read that. The library district shall be an institutional member of the Missouri Library Association and the American Library Association. In addition, the library district shall provide for individual membership dues to the Missouri Library Association for each trustee, the director, and the assistant director. Individual membership dues to the American Library Association will also be paid for the director. That is in red, that's what will be removed. And in the yellow, the comments from the team that the director puts together is remove the highlighted paragraph and replace it with the library district shall be an institutional member of the Missouri Library Association. In addition, the library district shall provide individual membership dues for trustees who choose to be a member of the Missouri Library Association.
So what I'm hearing is that the deleted part will include our institutional membership in the American Library Association. Is that correct?
That is correct, but we haven't been a member, institutional member for quite some time, ALA. It's been a bit.
For what reason?
Well, I guess because the director never thought that we needed to be. We get more out of the Missouri Library Association. We don't travel to go to the PLA or the ALA conventions, which is basically what membership does. An institutional membership will give you better rates for those conferences. And we haven't done a Public Library Association conference since, I think, 2016, something like that. So that we just don't pay to belong to that anymore. Now, if the director or the trustee chooses to do that, they most certainly can be a member, but they would, the library would pay for it. But we don't travel to those anymore.
Yeah, they offer such a wide variety of services other than conferences.
Educational conference, we still get offered that. You still get offered that even though you are not a member. We still can take part in any of the educational seminars or webinars that we choose.
And guidance on things like
Certainly,
book banning.
yeah, it's still available if we should, if, a board member or director or myself or any library staff sees something that they wanted to attend, anything educational or anything like that. And we're always available for, their website is always available for us to use as a reference, which we do.
I guess the big issue here, and where this originally became an issue was the fact that the way the policies are written, it tended to lead you down the thought that the board itself wasn't governing what the library does on a day-to-day basis and our policies and procedures. We have guidelines in our policies that spell it out, but the way we're at before, it sounded like we would do as what the American Library Association dictated, and that couldn't be any further from the truth. It's the board's responsibility to decide what we do. Now, the big difference between the ALA and the MLA is that the Missouri Library Association, again, that's out of the Secretary of State's office. We're receiving funding from the state. ALA is a separate entity. It's throughout the United States that are providing information, but they're not a governing body per se over what we do here. And that's part of the thing. It was just simply, the revisions are an effort to turn around and remove that entity from making the decisions and placing the emphasis back on our boards to make the changes and to govern what we do on a day-to-day basis.
Does anybody else have an opinion about it?
No, I'm perfectly happy with it.
I think we, Bill, can we sign Bill in and give him his time?
Yeah, I apologize for being that old part.
No, please don't.
Just to clarify, the MLA is a chapter of the ALA. So if you're an MLA member, you are an ALA member.
No, we're not.
But you don't have to pay them separately, but the MLA is a chapter of the ALA. That's so on their website.
Well, it's.
Well, also the difference between the American and the Missouri. America it's so broad, things that happen in California are included in the American Library Association, which realistically has nothing to do with Camden County.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Well, I really appreciate everybody tolerating me and my naivete.
Oh, no, trust me, we appreciate your questions.
There was something about here, the freedom to read. I think that was.
That's later in our policy.
Yes, and
Yeah.
that was just powerful, and I thought it was also in red.
Let's,
And it was written by-
let's stay on track. They will get,
Oh,
we'll get,
but-
that's coming up. Okay.
The Freedom to Read Act was created by the ALA,
We'll be getting to that.
but that suggests that it's actually has a long foundation of being an advocate for libraries.
Yeah.
Anyway, it feels like spitting in your face, spitting in the wind to cut off that affiliation. That's my thought.
Okay, let's call for,
You don't have any time left, Sandy, but I don't, I can put the time.
we really need to move and call for a vote.
May I use my 32 seconds?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Run the clock, Sid.
Yeah. So I would just ask that we change it to be similar to the yellow for the MLA and maybe say individual membership dues to the American Library Association shall be paid for the director if they so choose, if that's possible, because as a master's in library student, all masters in library sciences for public libraries have to be accredited by the American Library Association. So there is a strong, even though it's not just the state of Missouri, the ALA holds a lot of power and research that's put into libraries, and they're very influential. Thank you for letting me use that.
I think that can be addressed on an individual basis, at least right now.
Okay. So I'd like to call for a motion.
I motion it that we accept the preamble to the bylaws.
We'll second again.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nancy?
Yay.
Okay.
Motion carries. To the next item. We'll be moving on to, the next item is administration subsection 1, I'm sorry. Subsection, it's section 3, administration subsection 2, bylaws of the Board of the Library Trustees, Camden. And that is operating policies and what?
This is the section 3 administrative, section 2 bylaws, and this repeated in the next. You might at least have this authority.
Where else to get that?
We've got a lot of them. Sorry for
There's a
the,
lot.
Yeah, and they're not really coming up in order. So.
No, they're not.
I put mine in there.
Right.
I put, it should be up here at the top. Unfinished business, item 1C.
Here's the thing, I'd like to bring this up. If we look at in our manual, let go. we have the Article 13 Board Member Conduct and Article 14 Annual Report. If we turn the page to Duties of the Library Board, this is a copy and paste of this page.
Yes.
Do we need it twice? We could completely take this page out.
We could, but I think that it doesn't hurt for right now to leave them in there. We can revisit that one, at least till we get through this section. But yes, they are.
Well,
One-
it has to do with this.
One is the bylaws and one is actually the duties, so that's kind of why our task force, when we were putting this together, decided to leave it in there. It is repetitive, absolutely is.
Yeah, it's an absolute copy and paste.
We are on,
But want to see, it looks like, here, this is,
let me see your agenda. My letter got screwed up.
I will do one.
We're at C, which is, Board of Trustees, section 2 and 3, that's, that. Is that this one?
Nope, that's section, that's
Watson?
Here's this one. It's only on the very back page.
the last page.
Yeah, you're on the right page.
Okay. Yeah, good, what was the board?
I numbered my.
It's not it.
Here's that.
Right here. It's pretty. It is.
Oh. I am really sorry, guys.
Well, the two of them are hand in hand, because again, this is a copy and paste on this.
All right.
Yes, that's why we just, remove it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to be.
Do you want us to read what we're removing?
And this is the one we're talking about right now. This is the next one. And again, this entire section here is copied and pasted here.
Okay. All right, so we're moving on to duties?
Actually, we need a motion to remove
Oh.
this section under Article 8, Section 2 and Section 3. It's repeated in the next policy, subsection 3 of the same policy. It's just a repeat. So we would like to delete those.
I'll put a motion out there to accept it.
Second.
Okay.
It's silly.
Yes, it is. We were trying to eliminate them as we go through there. Okay,
I missed the page.
it's the very last page, that's why.
Yeah, I missed the page. All right, so we're going,
Did we have to vote?
This is one of the ordered
We
on.
didn't do.
We didn't vote. Made motion, no votes.
okay, so we are, so this is duties of the library board.
Not yet. Okay,
We did a motion and a second, we need a vote
to
for,
remove the repeated section.
All right, so we need a motion. Yeah.
And we already have the motion, we're needing a vote.
Okay, call for a vote on this
Aye.
one?
I,
Aye.
Motion carries. So now. This one, this is here, this is the one we're on right now. Items.
So item B. Section 3, subsection 3, duties of the library board. The items C and D in duties of the library board reads, C and D reads, no board member shall release to the public orally or in writing information about the library not previously agreed upon by the board, agreed upon at board meetings. D is no board member, or the whole sentence in D is no board member shall make individual decisions or take action on library matters. And then the red part that is that's the red part is or influence or attempt to influence the public in such a way as to cause the pressure of public opinion to direct or influence the type of plan of service of the library. So basically, those are being removed because it's a muzzling of the board members.
This section, so we're recommending no changes. Get out of the.
Yeah, again, that's part of the top of the page.
Okay. Show that to me again. No, the other one.
Yeah, out of the bylaws, and we're gonna keep it in the duties. The only thing in the bylaws that will stay is no board member shall make individual decisions or take action
So
on
it'll stay
library.
the same way.
Right.
So
Well, that's
it's just a redundancy of what we.
Right. One sentence will be the same, but that one sentence needs to be in the bylaw.
That sentence does need to be there. But otherwise, I also agree that the rest of that is muzzling.
Yes, the red that we're trying to remove is basically muzzling the board members from being able to speak publicly and express their thoughts.
So I will move, we accept that
Okay,
Accept it as presented.
as presented. Okay.
I second it.
Now, that's going to mean taking the red out, or no changes, recommending no changes to the policy, leaving that policy it is, as it is.
Yep.
Mary Pat moved, Rebecca second, all in favor?
no, you're doing fine.
I'm
You're
sorry.
doing fine because I'm still trying to figure out where I got crossed up on that. I appreciate it.
All ayes?
Aye.
Aye.
Yours, Jim.
I can't get my agenda. You know, and Mark.
Okay, now, this is a big one, section 2, operations, subsection 19, our
Yeah.
selection policy.
Okay. So I had that as C, yes.
I'm hoping we're not going to read all of that now, because it was pages.
Nancy, did you have a chance to look this information over before the meeting?
Much of it, yes. That's why I had the opportunity to read the Freedom to Read statement from the ALA, in which I was most impressed. And when I hear it being deleted from different things, it's kind of disconcerting.
So would you care to elaborate on that briefly? I know we have to keep moving on this.
I know that, and I really appreciate the efforts that those who drafted all this and put it all together. What a humongous task this was, and here I come in, I just learned about this yesterday, and I'm already, I don't want to be a pain in the neck, but I see that why would you want to eliminate? In doing this, an effort will be made to achieve a well-balanced collection in accordance with the Freedom to Read statement of the ALA. And it's like, why would that be important to do?
Other than the fact that it's with the ALA, I agree with you 100%. And I would like to make a motion that we table this one. Because to be honest with you, I haven't had the opportunity to go through all of this and make my own highlights.
Okay, that makes sense.
Could-
Yeah.
Could I make a comment before we table it?
Yes, please.
I hear what you're saying, but the problem again is that most of what you're seeing here deleted is copy and pasted directly from documents that were included in things like the Ashcroft Rule, Missouri Library Association, ALA Freedom to Read, and the Bill of Rights of ALA. And one of the changes that we've made here is that rather than include all of these things that include things like adopted June 18th, 1948 by the ALA Council and amended February 2nd, 61, and January 23rd of 1980, and inclusion of age reaffirmed on January 23rd, 96. By having all of this information in here, then every time that they make a change to the bylaws and the changes for the ALA, that will trickle down to us where we have to turn around and then keep up with all of that. Whereas instead, what we did is under the revision, we've said the Camden County Library District selection policy was developed using the following resources. And so if you read, aside from what's taken out, what gets left and what's going to be our policy, the same things are going to happen. Freedom to read, a balanced type of library selection process. It's in there. It's just not including all of this other stuff. So we're saying we're going to do the same thing, the guidelines of the ALA, but we're not including their policy. So that we're not covered with every time they change their policy, we got to change ours.
It comes into the overlap with policy.
Yes.
And I mean, this is pages of their policy in our policy.
Right.
We stated here, yes, as Jim said, but this is pages of their policy in our policy. And that, so now we have to, and that's just excerpts from their policy. So if we have to work with something, we also have to dig way back into their stuff to
1948.
work with this. So that's where overlapping policies are tying our hands and slowing us down, keeping us from getting work done. And so we have made the statement here in yellow that we will reflect those policies in our operations. But it shouldn't be in our policy.
I guess to clarify.
Yeah.
So bottom line is the ideas and principles of what they've said are in there. It's like ragu, you know, it's in there. We're not saying no, the freedom to read should be abolished. That's not what we're saying at all. We're just saying that rather than taking their policy word for word and putting it in our policy, we still believe in freedom to read. We still believe in a balanced selection here in the books that we have at our libraries. All of the same things they're saying, we're just saying we're adopting it, but it's going to be under our policies, not under theirs, if that helps at all. And, you know, by all means, if you guys want to take a stab at this again, go for it. But I think the big problem you're going to run into again is you're going to find yourself visiting this same thing day in and day out.
Yes.
Unless we turn around at some point and say, we need to break from all of them, all of these different groups to create our own policies. And if our policies don't fit the needs of the community and what they want, then by all means, the community has the opportunity to come in here and say, I think you should word the policy differently.
Yes, and as a board, these are some immediate policies that we've addressed. We are going to start from the beginning, from the mission statement, and work through the policies and review all of them. And it may be good to do that as a maintenance, and every meeting have a policy that we've reviewed. And we've bit off a big chunk here, and we've made it a very cumbersome process to get through these meetings. And we've done a lot of work to try and get this done. I'd like to call for a motion.
I
Oh,
may
go
make a
ahead,
comment.
please.
Just for the board members' knowledge, this is not going to change our selection policy at all. And if a patron should ever want a book that we do not have, they can request the book and branch managers can order that book for them. But taking that out is not going to change how the branch managers select the materials for the library.
And you know, this freedom to read has some good points in it.
And
It
that
really
point-
does. But there's a whole lot of extra that does not need to be there, because to me, it's very opinionated. But there are good points like, you know, the reading is our greatest freedom. It's in the Constitution. You should be able to do it. Those kind of things are wonderful, but I don't think we need all of the rest of it.
The recommended revision that the Camden County Library direct selection policy, the Camden County Library District selection policy was developed using the following resources. Community input, Missouri revised statutes, Ashcroft's rule, Missouri Library Association, the ALA Freedom to Read, and the ALA Bill of Rights. So it states here that that's how we developed this, but we are not tied by having someone else's policy in our policies that makes it unmanageable. And so we're trying to do away with those overlapping policies.
Well, we're still following these, we're just not,
Well, that's what we're stating,
like,
that's
yeah,
what
like,
we're stating
like
here.
Jim says, we're not putting it into ours so that every time they make a change, we have to.
Right, it's more timeless. It's a more timeless thing.
We're not embedding their policies in our policy.
Can we call for a motion?
Yes. Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second, anyone?
You know what, I'll go ahead and second it after all these discussions, it just makes perfect sense.
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Oh, just abstain. Okay. Thanks, Nancy. Okay, motion carries.
good. I was gonna ask Bill when he walked out of the room.
This is,
It's not put on there.
okay,
On the website?
yeah,
It's not.
okay, all right.
Where I'm gonna go off here, apparently my agenda.
This one is done. Conflict of interest. It's the next one. And it looks like this.
Yeah.
Right there.
I have it. Need to find
Yeah.
it. My cat helped me last night.
I didn't keep cat, I just.
You need a new cat.
No, I need a better helper.
We say the dude is all.
A spare cat.
If you ask my wife, I have a spare cat.
One too many.
Yeah, she decided to jump up on my lap across working.
So it's, 3 subsection 7. Conflict.
Yeah, section 3, administration, subsection 7. Conflict of interest.
I actually stapled that.
So, okay, I'm gonna, so this is section 3, administration subsection 7, conflict of interest, regarding the trustees. The portion that, we're looking to remove is trustees must distinguish clearly in their actions and statements between their personal philosophies and attitudes and those of the institutions, acknowledging the formal positions of the board, even if they personally disagree. The replacement will be, once the Board of Trustees approves policy, trustees must set aside any differences of opinion and support the policy, its implementation and enforcement. So the statement in red tends to be a little more generic as far as affecting people being able to express their thoughts, their personal assessments of things. And so the proposed replacement for it makes it more purposeful. Okay, then the other piece that is up for removal is trustees must be prepared to support to the fullest the efforts of librarians in resisting censorship of library materials by groups or individuals. And that, I don't understand.
We won't, we propose that we make no changes to that as we are currently doing that right now. That's part, that's kind of part of our election policy also. You know, if you have something, a group or an individual has a problem with a book, they use a book challenge form. So that, we're kind of just doing that right now.
Okay, so we don't change this.
Right, we leave that paragraph 6 alone and replace paragraph 4.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It more or less says that board members can voice their opinion on anything, but once it is a policy or approved by the board decision needs to be approved, supported by all the board members.
Any comment?
Make a motion that we accept it with the revisions, with removing that one and
Okay.
replacing the suggestion with.
Second?
Second.
Thanks, Nancy. Mary?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey, we got through the policies. Oh, that's huge. Was. Good job, board.
It's really hard to, when you only have this time frame to really discuss these, it does get to be, every time you make a change, it gets to be kind of a heavy weight. And
That's why we're gonna meter this from now on, but we have put the work into this. And Jim has put together a good staff to review the work that we put into it and given their input, and we can't waste the work that we put into this, so we're gonna take the pains to get this done.
And I appreciate Bill's effort and Jim's effort in his group to come together on that.
You know, and nothing is ever chiseled in stone. You know, and again, I think the whole process has been good for all of us in that it helps us to better understand, you know, the decisions that are made on policies and decisions made by the board and by me and my staff impact a lot of different things. And I think that's what's really flushed out of this, is that it made us all step back and look and see where the direction we're heading. Are we clearly sharing that with the public? And by all means, my door is always open, and I know the board's doors are open. So if there's input from the community or people here today, that you see something that jumps off the page at you and you'd like to see us address it, then I think I know I'm open to that. Can't speak for the board, but I think, you know, this is a big step towards getting us moving forward so that we can address a lot of other issues that we have in front of us.
Well, I can appreciate your stance that you took several weeks ago, and that's being Switzerland.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Gonna go for agenda.
Who were the people who pulled all that together? Was you, Jim?
It was myself, Becky,
And Coley,
Coley,
John Mooney,
John Mooney.
and the branch manager, Karen Colgan.
That's a lot
John's
of
been at
work.
the library over 40 years, so
Yeah. So
it's a wealth of information.
and they did yeoman's work on it. Like I say,
Thank you.
it was, you know, the same task force basically that helped us work on the challenge book issue and dealing with all of that. So, you know, that team, I got to thank them. They, like I say, they stepped up to the plate and really helped.
It was awesome.
All right.
It was.
We're gonna move on to 1081 Osage.
Can we take
Beach
a
Road.
10-minute break
Sure. Sure.
or a 5-minute break?
Can we do that? Well, I guess what do you do on YouTube?
If we all walk away, what are you gonna do?
Let's
Play a song.
So
let's take a, yeah,
We'll take a short break. Right.
Well,
There's something else that we're going to have to address in the future. What do you do during intermission?
Music. Easy.
Do you like, all right, very well, yes.
Back to order. And the next agenda item is the 1081 Osage Beach. Jim has, would you like to start with that?
Well, yes. You know, in previous meetings, I've submitted to the.
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'd be great.
Good idea.
Previous meetings, I've sent some options to the board. A lot of different options, you know, do nothing, you know, tear it down, divide it up, sell it. There's just all sorts of different options here. And we've continued to work on this. One of the big issues with the building itself is that it needs some things done to it. The air conditioning system is done, and we're looking at an expense of about $15,000 just to do that. And so what I would like to suggest, and one of the items I had was to take the building and go ahead and take it. It has the tower, like you said, the radio tower with it. And this building is the one right next to our current Osage Beach Library. This is the tower and that's the building. That building itself is built on a crawl space, which is a problem in trying to utilize the building for any kind of storage. Books and equipment are heavy, and so it doesn't lend itself very well for that sort of thing. And so my recommendation would be to go ahead and have the thing taken down. Take down the tower, take the building down. The original intent of buying this building was for additional parking, and that would be able to clear up additional space for even more parking for our library there. We have gotten some estimates. We're looking at probably be in around anywhere from $40,000 to $65,000 to have it taken down. That includes the tower and hauled off. One of the suggestions that we've kicked around. My son lives in Columbia with the fire department, and they've taken a few of these vacant lots that they have there where they're expanding the city, and they've created what they call a spot. And basically, once they clear a lot, they bring in like picnic tables and food trucks, that sort of thing. It's like a pop-up park is what basically they're utilizing the space. And they have the same issues of, you know, they don't have the funding necessarily to build something now, but in order to utilize that space, they're getting the most out of it that they can. So, like I say, that's an option for us if we decided to do this. Like I say, the big thing would be to gain the additional parking space. And then if in the future we decided we wanted to expand the Osage Beach Library, leaving it there attached to our existing property would give us the option of building a larger facility there and utilizing the additional space, which is part of the reason why I didn't go with the idea of dividing it up into 3 separate parcels. I'm afraid that if we did that, and we decided, you know how that works, you come back later and decide, well, you know, now we need the space back so we can expand our library, we'll be buying back our own property. So until, I guess it's kind of a stopgap measure until somewhere down the line we decide what we are going to do as far as expansion in that area. And so my recommendation, and you know, again, I'm open to any and all suggestions, would be to go ahead and get additional bids, because this would, you know, like I say, would be beyond the scope of what I can spend. Get additional bids for having the building and the tower taken down and leveling that lot off, even with the parking lot that we currently have, and it would give us the additional space for parking there at the Osage Beach Library.
I need to interrupt for just a minute on
Sure.
that. Nancy, I didn't have an email for you. I wasn't told that you were joining us.
I know it came as a complete surprise the day before,
Okay.
yesterday, as in. I
That's
showed up at the
wonderful.
library.
Okay, so, I didn't have to send you any materials. I feel.
Vicky did well.
Good.
And-
Did you get this by chance?
No. No,
I already, you can have that. And the number one and those number one and number two choices are my opinion. There's some, but that's all. the
Thank you, Adam.
choices.
Oh, okay.
You got it on that.
Well, I can play it again. You can have that. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I needed to
Yeah,
try
absolutely.
and get her up to speed.
Right.
Very shortly.
Absolutely. So, I guess believe me, I've spent time with board members there looking at the facility. My biggest, we've even talked about leasing it out, but then, now we're going to create another issue of having to, be property managers. And as you can see, the last thing I need is more property. Right now, I'm trying to keep what I have running. And like I say, I'm afraid that we'll be faced with additional expenses the longer we keep the thing in the situation that it's in right now. So that's my 2 cents worth, and I'm wide open to whatever the board says, but that's where I'd like to go.
So we went and took a look at it a couple weeks ago now. I talked to a friend of mine who is a realtor. Of course, everybody at the lake here has a friend that's a realtor. He pulled up the old comps on it, talked to his broker, and their idea is you could list it now because time's gone by and everything's just gone crazy. You could list it now for what it was listed for back then, which was what, 225, I think it was, 235? And the library paid 210 for it, I believe.
I think so, that's.
Okay, he thinks you could list it for that. He actually may have an interested buyer already. And we could take out that section that you want for the parking and keep it for the library.
Okay.
So you'd keep that 15 feet and then all the rest of it would be sold. So now it's out of repair. And you get the extra parking.
Get the extra part. But that's the thing, I would, the original intent of the original board in buying it was to get the parking, so that would be one thing I'd want to keep, but yeah, again, this is y'all's call on this, I'm open to suggestions.
Well, and I don't remember who it was brought it up last meeting that even if you sold it for a loss, if you sold it, you paid 210, if you sold it for 200 and you kept that piece of land there, it's still a hell of a lot cheaper than paying $65,000 to tear it down, whatever it costs to turn this into a park and maintain it until you decide to do something else with it.
Which would lessen the value,
Yeah.
the resale value.
And one of the things I'd really like to highlight too, if you do decide to change it to a park, I would seriously check with the local police and everything ahead of time because of homeless, because of people hanging out in the park, because of trash that would be left. Not saying that people don't pick up their trash, but a lot don't. Just the maintenance of it would be a lot too.
I guess one other issue, again, that the reason why I say I lean more towards tearing it down is that, well, in your suggestion, okay, let's say they sell the building and the building winds up being utilized as a, who knows, the homeless shelter, something like that. Right now we have control over what's next to the library. If we sell it, we don't. And so that might be an issue in itself, but now that you bring that up. Again, it's quite the conundrum as to what to do. I would like to, like I say, originally, to get the parking. Again, one of the big issues as a board, what you're going to have to decide is one of the problems we have with the library right now is we don't have enough room. We have more books than we have space. And so it should be on all of your minds down the road here. Do we want to start looking at what we can do? Osage Beach gets a tremendous patronage, and we just simply don't have the space for what we'd like to put in there. And so if we sell the property and then decide we need the space, will we regret not having that additional space? Because then we're forced with actually having to go and look elsewhere for a place to put another library. Just food for thought.
I've read through all those options, and with the concept that you need room for, expansion. You've got all the new technologies that Mark works with, coming in and expansion for that. And I don't think there's a library or a building that really, has dedicated circuits, surge suppression, everything else that's necessary for what he's doing. And the amount of space as far as noise, and those kinds of things, interfering with the rest of the library. I really think that the last option, the nuclear option, allows you to create exactly what you need for this district as far as expansion space, a good maker space. And so to find a new location for the Osage Beach Library, maybe more on the thoroughfare, and sell both properties. So in that, can you go back to those clicker things? Yeah, when it gets back to this now. My biggest concern is the tower. I don't do well. From the pockets. So the biggest concern, the 250-foot tower, and I've had some experience, some structural experience, and the first thing that comes to mind to me is there's bolts in the bottom of that thing that need torque specs done on them. And you can, if it is on the ragged edge of thing, just doing torque specs could loosen the thing up. So that's the biggest thing. So if we aren't ready to take the funds we have, and sell that property and embark on something like the nuclear option, then the park would be the way to go, because we stop maintenance on the building. We no longer have the risk of the tower. And that's what I come up with in my, so I would really like to see the nuclear option where you make something for this district that is timely. Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I guess the problem I have is, you're closing in on $300,000 for a lot. That's a lot of money just for some dirt, and it's not that big of a lot, and it's not in an absolute great location.
Yeah, it'd have to be a pretty good location.
Yeah, because you've got 210 into it, 65, now you got, 275, whatever else you got going, you're closing in on $300,000 for not a very big, not a very great location piece of dirt.
That would be my question. What's holding me back to be able to make a decision is, what is our long-term goal? If it's to build a new library on the main drag at some point, then it would not be advantageous to tear all that down, because it would never get, yeah, it wouldn't pay for itself. 300,000 is a good price to add on to the current library. I mean, that's acceptable, but we all know what a possible new library would cost. And in losing the $265,000 to put towards it, if that's, I just think we either need to make the decision before we make the final decision, whether we're gonna look for a new, and try to build a new building, or just add on to what we've got. I mean, to me, that's the big question.
Yeah, the long-term goal.
It is.
Yeah.
Because the district is going to need a bigger library over there, and we're going to need a bigger library soon.
And you want better exposure.
So
And
That
there
would be-
are places that you can do better exposure for less money, so if we sold that, bought something for less money that would be a much better location on a much better lot, would be.
That's an option as well. I'm just saying that in the future, we are going to need a bigger building over there. Now, just to point out, we did have that building with a property management firm for a year. Had no one even interested in leasing it. We had one person who thought they may be interested in buying it, and that person backed out.
Right.
So unless the person that you're speaking about is dead set on that building or whatever, we have tried to lease it and sell it. And did not have any interest, just a.
That brings us full circle back to the issue at hand. If you're saying you want to keep it just the way it is, okay, and not tear anything down and leave it there, then we're going to have to find out in order to make it saleable, are we going to spend the money to go ahead and fix the air conditioning system and all of that, or we just sell it as is, what it has.
Yeah, it'd have to be sold as is.
Oh, definitely.
So I think as a matter of urgency, spread into whatever you do, the first thing you do is decide what to do with that tower. And get it done.
The tower probably should come down because it is a safety hazard, but as far as the building goes, I say hold off until you make, because if you just want to add on an addition to the old library, then by all means, you can tear it down and make it bigger. But if your real intent is to relocate the library and build a new library, I certainly would not entertain taking that down.
At some point, adding on and adding on and adding on, it's fine, but at some point, your original
Right,
building, the original equipment needs to be replaced, as finding out by everything that's laying down and dying here. So at some point, it's almost best to cut your losses, and just build it.
Would it be detrimental to take the tower down, or would it sell better with the tower that's still there? I guess,
I would leave it as an option to, leave it there. And then part of the negotiation is we would pay to take it down. Because that way you've got an out,
If they
just
don't.
leave the damn thing.
I guess, again, what I'm hearing is, we don't wanna spend a lot more money on it. But if we're gonna list it, from my standpoint, I still have to address, the air conditioner. If we decide sell it as is, that's fine. Well, if we're gonna do that, then leave the tower as is, that's fine.
Right.
But we do still have, utilities and insurance and all those sort of things to consider. So I would just, I guess my big thing is I don't want to be here a year from now and dealing with it. So, I mean, if the board, wants to, make a decision to go ahead and list the thing, I'm willing to entertain that. But maybe instead of a year on
Oh,
the,
yeah.
a year on the contract with a realtor to sell it, maybe a couple of months or something like that, see if we have any luck.
Let me chat with my friend and see if I can help him push this person along, because they're looking at a building in Camdenton. Which is way overpriced for what they want, and he seems to think that looking at the old specs, this would, do quite well for him.
Boy, I would really look into that quickly. If you find somebody that wants to buy it, the whole
Yeah.
thing as is, I'd go for it.
I'll
And the
talk to
tower.
him today.
And the tower.
Yeah, the tower, if we
The
can
whole.
do it.
So we're gonna need on the agenda, we're gonna need a motion for Jay to contact this person, show him the building
Yeah.
and.
Because we could always say no. I mean,
Right.
but it doesn't hurt at all to go ahead and move that along.
but even if you took a little bit less for it, it's a headache that's gone that you're not gonna have to spend
Plus you're going to get that.
insurance and all that stuff.
That's what I was just gonna say, as long as you include the slice off for the parking,
Right,
because we could do that. We could put the angled in parking alongside the building. That would help us considerably. Okay?
and so then that means that in the long run, we're gonna be looking for a
Right.
location and a new building down the road.
Yes,
That's all I wanted, to make sure that that's what we were doing.
we don't wanna buy it back again.
Right.
Right,
Has there been any thought to, I don't want to, has there been any thought to, scraping that building and tower, and you could take the existing Osage, building, you could actually gut that thing, retro it forward and add to it and actually do what you would do with a new, what you would do with a brand new build.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's a possibility too. And if you scrape it, you can go ahead and do the park. And then
I have an idea what to do with it in the interim.
yeah, the closest I really like the last one as far as an option to make something that is exactly what we need. And that could actually be done with the SHB spreads, because you guys are talking about, stuff falling off and degrading. So if you gut it and you add to it what you need, and then you leave enough parking, that's the way to go.
And also keep in mind, that's what happened with the building that's there now. We built around the original library that was there. So that's been done once before.
Yeah.
Just to keep in mind that,
Okay.
original,
So it is time for, person.
I'm not, I don't know that, but I'm just saying that it hasn't been done before. The library that's there was built around an existing library.
And then if
Where the
any
drawings
of
come
our
out.
citizens out there would like to donate a great big building for a new library, call me. I'd be more than happy to help you. Yeah, but, these are all ideas down the road, we're doing just fine making do with what we have, and I don't want everybody to think, oh, God, that new guy's come in here and now he wants to build a, multi-million-dollar library. That's not the case at all. Right now, my biggest concern is dealing with what we have and the liability and the cost to maintain that building and that tower. That's the main thing for me. If we can get that resolved, if you can work on this for us, that would be wonderful.
I will contact him today. Actually, I'll be seeing him this weekend. I'll help him cut up some trees.
All right, good. Well, stop in the middle of work and say, no, we need to talk.
Jay to proceed.
Well, I'll make the motion that Jay goes ahead with talking with the person and seeing what interest is there. And then reporting back to us.
Great, thank you.
Second? Sure.
I'll second it. Or did Nancy do it?
Nancy beat
Okay,
you.
good.
I beat you to it.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I'm in favor. Aye.
I,
Send you more than
okay, after we now have voted to put the property up for sale, do we want to add a timeline?
Well, the motion was just for him to proceed with talks to see what the
Okay, with
interest is.
talks only, okay.
I'm happy if you guys are.
Yep, let me, go ahead. Yeah, we can. I'll give you.
Meeting adjourned?
Yes.
Can I add
During the
just a
meeting.
couple things?
Sure.
With the non-agenda items. I think the eclipse activity was fabulous. That was done with all the eclipse glasses being handed out to many people that needed them. I thought that was great. Tech grant that they got. I don't know who initiated the tech grant, but we have lots of new computers and
All the grant.
I mean, that's fabulous. I just want to compliment you both for the work that you're doing too. And then the community garden. We haven't heard much about the community garden, and I think that might be something to put on next time's agenda, just to find out some more about it.
We're full. All the beds
Oh,
are
it's
full
full.
for
Okay.
2024.
Wow,
We
that's
stopped with the
great.
waiting list. The garden club who does the work out here, they are going to be putting up a shade out there.
Good.
So that people that are working can take a break in some shade. But yeah, all the beds are full for 2020. They were
Perfect.
full last year. We're gonna be adding some more beds, which will bring us, up to speed with the people that are on the waiting list and no more
Good. Okay,
adding
thank
to the
you.
waiting list.
Okay,
That's
thank you.
nice.
Now I'm done. Thank you, Adjourn.
So,
Well, thank you all for welcoming me and
It's
I look
nice to
forward
have you,
working
Nancy.
with you all.
And,
As a team.
and before we adjourn, I'd like to just make one comment about Bill. I'm not sure about everybody else, but I really appreciate all the work that Bill had put in. And unfortunately, Bill moved and he's like 200 feet outside of Camden County, so that's why he had to resign his position. But whenever he wants to come back and sit in the audience, I would welcome him to come back and throw his 2 cents worth in. He's very detailed and very articulate. And I appreciate all the work that he did, so,
I do too. I did tell him that I really
Yeah.
appreciated his work.
as did I, but I wanted it on public record.
Thank you, Jay.
So take
So are we adjourned?
We're adjourned, you're adjourned.
We're adjourned.
We're done. Oh my God.